Welcome into the aerobic studio here at America's Resort, the Greenbrier. This is episode 11 of the Brierchat podcast. I'm Cam Huffman, Director of Public Relations here at the Greenbrier, and I'm joined today by Josh Beverage, who's the fitness manager here at America's Resort. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the fitness offerings that we have here at the Greenbrier and some of what Josh does on a day-to-day basis. And interesting job he has, wears a number of hats around the Greenbrier, so we're going to get into all of that. But first, we're going to get to know Josh a little bit, and we have to have full disclosure here, Josh. You and I have known each other for a long, long time. We used to have the WVU club back in elementary school, and I was just thinking today as we were getting ready for this podcast, I remember third grade we got separated because we were talking too much in class. So
right.
If Mr. Sprouse is watching this here today, we have special permission to be talking to each other today.
Yeah,
So.
if kids could answer certain questions, they were kicked out of the club too. You know, they weren't. You weren't a diehard Golden Blue fan if you couldn't.
I think
answer
it ended
the
up just being me and you in the club, and that was it. But anyway, so along those notes, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just kind of some of your interests growing up.
Yeah, born and raised in Lewisburg, native Greenbrier County, and went through the public schools of Lewisburg. I went to Greenbrier East High School. Always really super interested in sports. You know, outdoor activities, things like hunting and fishing were right up my alley. Anything with a ball. As a matter of fact, my dad would always say, "Can you not just put the ball away for 5 minutes?" Because everything we did revolved around a sport. It felt like we were shooting ball, we were throwing back football, we were playing baseball, whatever it was. I wanted to be a part of it. So
sure. And then you go to Concord after graduation, right? And when did you kind of decide to make sports and exercise and fitness a career?
Well, my dad was a PE and health teacher. So after graduating from high school, and I want to kind of get into this, Cam, you mentioned how old we are. I was sitting at my kid's high school graduation the other day, and I realized that we graduated in 1998, so that was 25 years ago.
It's hard to believe. It does seem like just yesterday for sure.
So 20, yeah. But anyway, graduated from Greenbrier East, went to Concord, started off in PE and health education, and I thought, boy, that's what I want to do. I want to teach so I could coach, I think is what it was. So went through that for 2 years, did my observation at Graham Middle School, and the first 2 weeks I thought, holy Toledo, I don't know if I want to teach anymore. I had middle school, 6th graders. So I went back, changed my degree to business management, graduated from Concord, and, loved Athens. I thought it was a great school for me. It was close to home and good school.
Absolutely. And it's funny, we talked about the connections we have to each other. We coached basketball together as well, but I was also a PE and health major and actually graduated with PE and health major. So it's kind of funny that you go into that major and end up in completely different directions. But yeah, it's an interesting career path. So then what led you to the Greenbrier? I know you've been here a lot longer than I have.
Well, like most people, graduated from college, decided to move back home, had no clue what I wanted to do. And obviously I was staying at my mom and dad's house. They said, "Big boy, you better find a job." So I applied at the tennis club at the hotel and became the tennis sales clerk at the hotel. So I started off here at the hotel 21 years ago selling shoes, basically. And I thought, boy, oh boy, I'm the best shoe salesman in the world.
And that's another funny twist because, as you know, I played tennis in high school and we practiced here at the Greenbrier sometimes. Josh was not a tennis player, but he's the one who ends up in tennis.
Never played. That's one sport I never really got into. But now, obviously, I teach pickleball and I love it. But tennis, no, I couldn't hit a ball very good.
So what were those kind of initial days like at the Greenbrier? What did you like about the Greenbrier? What kind of led you to?
What I loved it is just the day-to-day grind was, I had no clue what I was going to do during the day. I would be selling stuff in the shop. Then we kind of headed the croquet department, which I'm still involved with. But I would go up and maybe spend 2 hours on the croquet lawn. And then I would be down there helping somebody on a fitness machine. So I loved not knowing what my day was going to be. And getting to meet people and talk to people. And it was right up my realm. They were talking sports and I loved it, and I just got to hang out with people and make people do push-ups all day. It was great.
So just tell us a little bit about your career path from then, and how did your kind of roles develop over the years?
Well, I think that Greenbrier gives you a great opportunity to grow. I think that's the biggest thing for promotion. I started off as a sales clerk. 2 years into that, the fitness manager job came open. So I went back, got some certifications as a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. And I did that for a few years, and then I guess I did okay. I like to think of myself as a Swiss Army knife, but they asked me if I wanted to manage the pools in the bowling alley. So I kind of took that in. I did that for 10 or 12 years on top of the fitness. And then the most recent thing that I've gotten involved with is they asked me to be involved with the clinic. And I'm a clinical fitness consultant up there, and I get to see patients, which is awesome. So I'm still down here getting to do this, and it's the best of both worlds. And I go up there and get to see patients as well.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of fantastic jobs here at the Greenbrier, but I think yours is one of the best just because it's so varied, and every day, every minute, every day, you're doing something different and so many different experiences. Just tell us a little bit about kind of all the different stuff you do over the course of a day, maybe.
Well, fitness manager, basically my day might be, I might have to do 2 or 3 personal training sessions with guests or members. I might teach some group fitness classes. My assistant Stone Russell and I, we got hikes. So we offer those daily. And, so it's a wide variety of activities. We manage the croquet, so we play croquet, bocce ball and things like that. So we do a lot of the outdoor recreational things as well. So
right. And so people might not know that. You think about going on vacation, you stay at a normal hotel somewhere that's not the Greenbrier, and they might have a little exercise room. You scan your key card, or you go in there and work out. But there's so many opportunities available for people here. Just tell us a little bit about all the different fitness opportunities available.
Well, of course, we have our main gym, which is in the tennis club, and it's a state-of-the-art gym. It's got a full line of weight resistance equipment. It's got a full line of cardiovascular equipment. It's a great facility. Unlike most gyms that you go to, you're in a little square with no windows. This has windows everywhere. You're overlooking our 5 indoor tennis courts. It's a fantastic facility. Again, our offerings, we offer a variety of classes, including like your HIIT classes, your abs classes, spin, and I can't forget yoga. I don't teach the yoga here, but we have a I can't touch my toes, but we have a great yoga instructor, and it's pretty popular here as well. We do personal training sessions, and I get to see a wide variety of what people are looking for there. There might be somebody that comes in and just wants to maintain their fitness level while they're here at the Greenbrier, and they might be super fit, and they're just saying, gosh, I need a great workout. Or there might be somebody that's saying, gosh, I've never exercised in my life, and I need you to help me set up a program, and I can do that as well. So we can kind of tailor the workout to a specific need.
And that's a great point. That's not just with the individual trainings either. A lot of the classes that you guys teach and everything, it's kind of tailored to different, whoever you have in the class that day and different abilities, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, you get the wide variety. You might get yes, absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about the HIIT class. I've heard you talk a little bit about it and heard people who have been through it, but just tell us what that involves.
It's 50 minutes of fun-filled action. We do a lot of strength training mixed in with cardiovascular stuff. So you're doing stuff that maybe you've never done at your house, some interesting strength training moves, and then we mix it in with cardio, and by the end of the class, you'll know you've done something. So.
No doubt about it. Another thing you mentioned that I want to touch on is the hikes. Unbelievable number of hiking trails that are available here at the Greenbrier for all different levels and all different fitness abilities.
Probably my favorite hike we have 9 different hiking trails. My favorite trail is probably Trillium Ridge, which is more on the west end side of our property, but it is probably the prettiest views from on top of there. We typically, on our guided hikes, we offer usually 1 or 2 hikes a day. We typically do Raven Rock Trail, and it's a 5-mile loop that climbs 900 feet in elevation, and you got some spectacular views from on top. I mean, it's a great workout. You get to see a lot of the property, but when you're done, you're like, gosh, I got a great workout in as well. Yeah,
when you go on those hikes, as we said, it's available for a lot of different people. What's sort of the shortest one, and then what's the longest one?
I've had guests come in before that wanted to do a 4-hour loop, so I have to tie a lot of trails together. So you can tie Raven Rock onto Trillium Ridge and do Big Hollow Trail at the same loop and get a nice 10-miler in. The 1-hour hike that's really popular is Raven Rock, and then there's a cutoff trail called Cohosh that goes across. And you climb about 400 feet in elevation, but again, you get to go through a lot of our sporting club developments. You get to see a lot of the golf course on that hike, so it's just a really good way to kind of take in the grounds.
And that leads to something else I was going to ask you. You get the fitness benefit out of it, but you get the beautiful views out of it, but you can see wildlife or whatever. What are some of the things you might see on this trail?
In the years past, probably the most interesting, obviously you see some bear from time to time. There was one year that I saw a bear 5 different times on hikes. And let me tell you, that'll get somebody from New York their attention when they see a black bear for the first time. Probably the most interesting thing wildlife-wise is I was hiking one day and I had a family of 4 with me, and I heard a little rattle going on.
Oh, man.
I looked down and there's a rattlesnake literally probably 5 feet from my foot. And I jumped up, probably screamed like a little girl, and luckily it kind of did its thing, and I did my thing. So,
well, that's one thing. I love seeing wildlife on a hike, but I do not want to see a snake. Definitely not a snake fan.
No. I'll take the bear over a snake any day.
Okay. So what the private fitness classes, the individual training, Who comes to you for those? Who do you see? Is that regular guests, the sporting club members? Who do you see for most of those?
Again, it's kind of a variety. A lot of my the fitness classes are more geared toward the guest, hotel guests, but personal training sessions, it's hotel members. I do some, local trainings as well. I do some of our team members come in for training. I do have a lot of members that do them, 2 or 3 sessions per week. I've trained one gentleman for over 16 years. So that's how you build a nice little relationship with people.
Sure. And a couple other things you mentioned that I wanted to touch on. One is pickleball. And we actually did a podcast on pickleball a few weeks ago. The guy that was traveling around the country playing pickleball. But
what a life. What a life.
It just amazed me how quickly that sport has grown and how many different people play it. How did it kind of first come to Greenbrier? And just tell us a little bit about how it's grown over the years.
Well, about 5 years ago, we were sitting there and people started coming into the shop asking about pickleball. And we're like, our former director of tennis said, well, if they can't play tennis, we don't want them around here. And then that question kept coming up. What about pickleball? Have y'all played pickleball? Finally, we said, gosh, we need to put in some temporary courts. So we put in temporary courts, and we just learned how popular this game was. It took off.
Right.
And last year, our director of tennis now and our teaching pro, we decided to put 3 courts in on one tennis court. And those courts are busy all day, every day. It is probably one of the most popular activities. I think why it's so popular is the learning curve. You can pick it up so quickly, unlike tennis or golf or some of those other sports. You can pick it up pretty quick. The scoring is a little bit complicated, but you can pick it up quick. And, the 60-year-old can play right with the 18-year-old jock and beat him. So I think that's what's appealing as well.
And then you and I both have younger kids. Those kids can jump right in as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a neat sport. I know when we first got it here at the Greenbrier, you and I played a couple times, and then Josh kept playing and I didn't. So now
I won't mention
sure
that.
I'm not on his level.
I think the second time we played, you beat me, and I was like, I couldn't sleep for nights after that. Gosh,
that's why.
I was like, so
that's
anyway,
why you kept playing.
We need to challenge. We need that match again. So
I don't think it's fair now. I mean, you play a lot more than me. But that's something new that's come to Greenbrier. What else has kind of grown or changed or been new over your course of your career? That
it just seems like Mr. Justice, our owner, he just loves sports.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we're building a sports complex across the road and hosting NFL teams here for preseason training. We're building a tennis stadium where we have exhibitions every year. We're bringing Live Golf here in August, to play a golf tournament here. So I think it's just sports, and I absolutely love it,
And another sport that some people might not know much about, as you mentioned a minute ago, is croquet. I think the first time I ever played croquet, if I remember this right, was in your backyard. But how did you kind of learn that, and how popular is that on the Greenbrier property?
When I first started here, before I got married to my wife Gloria, I would tell people I was the croquet pro, and that wasn't a big pickup line, let me tell you. Anyway, great game. Most people think of croquet as the game in the backyard where you're just kind of hitting balls around and you're knocking your ball into the neighbor's yard and doing this. But the game that we play is 6-wicket croquet, and it is so much fun. It's almost like a game of chess and a game of billiards all hooked into one. So it's a lot of strategy. You're thinking about your next shot.
Right.
But you also got to have the skill of, like billiards, hitting the ball, So we have a ton of groups that do it. It's one of the most popular group activities because people can play. They can mingle while they're playing. It's friendly competition. They can have a cocktail while they're playing. And our croquet lawn is probably one of the best in the country. It's a great lawn.
Yeah, it's a beautiful lawn and a beautiful view from there, too. You look out over the chapel and some of the grounds. It's a great place to go. And as you said, it's always kind of amazes me. People think of the Greenbrier as a golf resort or tennis resort, but with that, as you said, that lawn stays pretty packed.
It's popular. It's one of those activities where if we get a guest early in the morning playing, other families see them playing. It's just a trickle effect. We end up having 10 sessions in one day of people playing. So,
well, as we talk about your evolving role, you mentioned a minute ago the clinic has become a part of your job. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Well, that's exciting. I get to see patients. They come in, and usually it's a 30-minute little assessment that I do, and I measure, the first 5 minutes or so. We just do some body composition analysis. We'll see what their body fat is, what their skeletal muscle is, their visceral fat. We kind of go over all those things, and I kind of give them some ideas on where that should be. And then we go into like a little cardiovascular component where I check and try to figure out what their VO2 max is. And then I measure their strength and endurance. And from there, I'll write up a nice little report that'll kind of say, hey, here's some baselines for you. Here's maybe some areas that you're doing really well on, and maybe here's some areas to improve on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that for 3 years now. There's nothing more rewarding in my job than to see a patient come in the next year that have hit your goals and they're like, wow, I feel so much better. Whether it's their knees are better, their lab works better, and it's like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we talk a lot. If people don't know, the Greenbrier Clinic has been a part of what goes on here at America's Resort for decades, and it's an integral part of what we do. And the executive physical plan, I know you see people that come in on that executive physical,
Yeah.
and you see people who are part of that concierge medicine program, but there's many things that set the clinic apart from another healthcare setting. But I think what you're doing has to be one of the biggest ones, because, physical fitness and look at me, I'm probably not one to talk here, but physical fitness and those kind of things are such a crucial part of your health that sometimes is overlooked in a traditional doctor's visit that the clinic's covering.
Yeah, and it's exciting that, the patients come in, they're excited to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that have done it the years past, they're excited to see where they're at, to see their progress, or I get the ones that will also come in and say, Josh, give me one more year.
Right.
But they do, that makes you feel like they do understand the importance of the fitness lift.
And you mentioned the excitement of seeing some of these people. What and obviously you don't want to mention any names, but what's maybe the biggest success story you've seen since you've been in that role?
Oh, gosh. I've had one gentleman that lost 60-some pounds.
Oh, wow.
And he did it in a year without any type of medicine or any type of assistance, just by eating a little better, changing his diet, and starting to move. And I tell people, I'm like, you just got to move.
Right.
You just got to move. It's, it's not necessarily you got to do CrossFit and spin and all this stuff. Is you just got to find a way, something that works within your lifestyle to make yourself move.
Right. And I think, you know this better than I, but I think about it as sort of like anything. When you talk about a job, that people always tell you, find a job that incorporates, as you've done, something that you love in your free time.
Absolutely.
I think you can do the same thing with fitness. There's something, whether it's playing pickleball, you enjoy the competitiveness of it, or you just enjoy hiking and being out on your own and seeing the wilderness. You find some way that it's not a job to exercise, but it's fun, right?
I agree. Like you and I coaching.
Right.
People, a lot of us have kids. Coach your kids' team.
Right.
Get out there and play with them, basketball or soccer or some of these sports. You know what I'm saying? Just, again, I think I read a study the other day that said if you walk 1 mile a day at a vigorous pace, which getting your heart rate up to it, basically what that means, increases your longevity by 8 years.
Oh, wow.
If you could bottle that pill up and sell it at the clinic, everybody would pay whatever you wanted to sell it for.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, all you got to do is walk a mile and get your heart rate up a day.
Right.
So it's like, again, you just got to move.
Right. Well, definitely interesting what you've done with your career here. How many years have you been at the Greenbrier now?
21 years now.
See, that's hard to believe too, isn't it?
Yeah, I graduated 25. Every morning I get up and look at these wrinkles starting to come right here around the eye. So anyway.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. We talked about, the changes in your job over the years, but what's changed, the biggest change about the Greenbrier since you've been here for that long time?
Again, the hotel is the hotel. When CSX owned us, and then when Mr. Justice luckily bought us, the hotel is just such a big structure. It's hard to change it. Luckily we have great guests, repeat guests that are coming year after year that are so loyal to us, and that we want to kind of keep our niche, But I think we've modernized when we needed to. We've tweaked things here and there when we needed to. But I think in terms of probably the biggest changes is just how many activities and how many different things we offer on the property.
Right.
It is amazing when you start walking around and you're seeing people riding Segways. You're seeing people doing off-road driving. You're seeing people, there's so many activities here. It's crazy.
And I imagine, just thinking about this, I hadn't thought about that before, but you being here for over 2 decades, you've probably seen people you trained as kids grow into adults now, right?
I had a guy the other day, I looked at him, he said, hey, Josh, remember you used to train me? And I thought, gosh, he looked older than me did. I was like, well, but he said, I worked out with you 10, 12 years ago, and here's a kid that was probably 15, and now he's 27, so it's like, wow.
Yeah,
so,
you're not 27 anymore.
I'm not 27
I hate to break
anymore.
it to you.
I'm not 27.
Okay, so one of the things we always like to do on the Brierchat podcast when we meet a new guest like yourself is just kind of a little rapid-fire question to get to know them as far as their experiences at the Greenbrier. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. We'll start with dining. What's your favorite restaurant here at the Greenbrier?
I would have to say Prime 44, and I like that for 2 reasons, Cam. 1, the food is fantastic. 2, when somebody says that they've been to Prime 44, it's kind of like a little job security for me. I know that they need to do a workout with me the next day because they've eaten some of those lobster mashed potatoes. So.
And 3, you forgot number 3, as part of the WVU club.
Oh, yeah.
It honors
right.
Gary West.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't forget that aspect of it. So along those same lines, what's your favorite food at the Greenbrier?
I would have to say that lobster mashed potatoes are pretty daggone good.
It's hard to beat,
It
isn't
doesn't get any better than that. Yeah.
I agree. We had a Another guest said that not long ago, and I agreed then too.
They're
So
delicious.
this one is a little more personal to you than it is some of the other guests we've had. But what's your favorite activity on the property?
I'd say anything outdoors, outdoor activities. Fly fishing. If you're out there on Howard's Creek and you're fishing, there's nothing more tranquil than seeing that big rainbow trout in there and trying to catch him. I recently went up to our 5-stand, the gun club, and did that, and that was spectacular. I mean, that's, I've hunted and fished my whole life, and I'm not a big shooter, but to have those guys kind of show me what to do, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I thought that was
that's a
fun.
lot of fun for sure.
I did off-road driving a few years ago. That was what a cool experience. It's nice when you could do that stuff in somebody else's vehicle.
No doubt about it.
So it was fun too. So any of those outdoor activities.
All right. And the final one is, what's your favorite room? Whether it's a guest room, a public space, what's your favorite space at the Greenbrier?
It's funny. I just got back from a hike, and I think my favorite room would be the Cameo Ballroom.
Okay.
You just walk through that room, and the history of that room is just amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. That room is one room on property that hasn't changed a lot over the years, but it's still beautiful, and you just almost feel that sense of history when you walk in the room for sure.
It's a great room.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, Josh, we got to know you a little bit about your background, a little bit about your job, and now we want to get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. So tell us a little bit about your family and what you do away from the Greenbrier.
Well, I'll mention my wife first. Got to mention her first. High school sweetheart. Started dating her in 10th grade, and now we've been married 21 years, and I guess she still likes me. So we have 2 kids, 2 great kids. I got a son, Drew, who just graduated from high school this year. He was a member of the state championship soccer team, so I hear about that every day.
And our third assistant coach, he was too. Did a fantastic job.
That's right. He's our statistician too. So, and then my other child is Cooper. He's going into 6th grade this year, and he's awesome. I got 2 great kids. I can't forget to mention my golden doodle Bailey, who's 4 years old, and he's more higher maintenance than my 2 kids are. But yeah, so.
And what do you like to do away from the Greenbrier? When you're with your family or on your own, what are some of your hobbies?
Again, there's nothing better than sitting in a tree stand. Because all day, every day at the hotel, you talk to guests, and you're just constantly talking. And my job is just high energy activity, so it's so nice to be sitting in a tree stand at 7 a.m. and just sitting in the woods watching a squirrel run up a tree,
Right.
So, yeah.
And I saw you and your boys on bikes the other day. Is biking something you guys like to do together?
Oh my gosh, we love biking. That's one of our favorite things. There's a Greenbrier River Trail, which a lot of people are familiar with. It's 77-mile long rails to trails, and one of our best things to do is we camp 2 nights along the way and ride that thing from start to finish, and it's just quality time and just fun. You're getting exercise in. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
I hope it was interesting to people to learn a little bit more about the fitness offerings here at the Greenbrier, a little bit more about Josh. I know a lot of other inside stories that I can share if people want to reach out and really get to know the real Josh. We can do that. But we hope you enjoy it. Hope you continue to watch the Brierchat podcast. Leave us some feedback on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you get your podcast. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know maybe some topics you'd like to see covered, what you want to know about the Greenbrier in the future. But until then, we hope you'll see us each Monday, and we'll see you at the Greenbrier.